Hewlett Packard Enterprise has just released a new report on the business of hacking. That's right, hacking is classified as a business today. Joining me to shed some light on this new development that is rapidly changing our cyber world is Chandra Rangan, Vice President of Marketing for HPE Security Products.
This is a risk-reward equation for the organizations attacking you and therefore for the organizations that are being attacked. So if I am a legitimate business and I want to keep myself safe, then I got to make sure that I increase the cost of attacks for the attackers. Attackers go after the easy, low-hanging fruit because that makes their cost as low as possible. So if I want to defend myself, make sure I go after the low-hanging fruit in my organization, along with increasing, the cost of attacking me. I need to make sure that if you do steal something from me, it becomes very difficult for you to sell.
You're listening to WRLWND Radio Podcast with your host, Marcello. Hi Chandra, welcome to WRLWND Radio Podcast.
Hi Marcello, pleasure to be here.
What level of IT skill set is needed to be in the hacking business?
It's a whole range, Marcello. You don't need a lot to get started in the criminal hacking business. There's a whole range of skill sets that cut across, essentially the attacker profile. You can really start with what we call script kiddies. Unsophisticated attackers, they execute tools, scripts that are written by others. There's a whole market out there with a range of software tools that can help somebody get started really, really quickly. And these attackers are typically hacktivists, unskilled beginners. That's why they get their start. Going further up the chain, you have black hat hackers who use a lot of these tools, but can sometimes build their own tools as well. And then you start getting into more sophisticated attacks, persistent attacks. And these are the types of black hat attackers that a lot of the cyber criminal organizations employ. And at the very far end, you have extremely sophisticated attackers with motivations often beyond just monetary, who could mount attacks that span months, sometimes even years. But going back to your question, Marcello, it doesn't take a lot to get started.
With the hacking business being so organized, are there C-level equivalent roles within this industry?
Absolutely. I think, given the nature of these organizations, the fact that they're criminal organizations, but they're also businesses, so there are C-level equivalent roles. It's also important to understand that these roles and these organizations are very tightly knit, but loosely organized. Right? Think of them as, essentially a contracting model that they follow. The equivalent to a CEO for these organizations would be a role that we call, masterminds. Right? Masterminds are organizers of a hacking group, often, for a target output. These are the folks who decide, the structure of the business. They decide how they want to make money, which types of attacks, they want to mount, who to hire for those attacks, and essentially run the business. Right? They're the ones who put these plans in place. They hire roles called spiders. Spiders are essentially black hats for hire. They are the ones who have often, deep technology experience, and they, mount these specific attacks. And the third role, which is actually really interesting, we call those mules. And mules are workers for the group mastermind, but they may not even know they are participating in a criminal activity. Right? They may not know, the larger context of what is happening. For example, a mule could be someone who is working from home, gets an offer for, say a few $1,000s a month, and take the goods that were purchased online through stolen credit cards or gift cards, or they go to the store to pick up, goods that were, purchased illegitimately. So there are different roles all put together, very, very similar to what you would expect a legitimate organization to be structured as.
Tightly knit but loosely formed. I really like that description there. Now, what are the different lines of business within the hacking industry? And can you tell us which ones are more lucrative?
So think about, the types of hacks that you could do and then how you're organized, right? So Marcello, there's two different pieces. If you think about the types of hacks or the attacks that I could mount, there is a range, and the report we call out, we have a simple framework to talk about the different types. On one axis, you have the type of attack, how easy or difficult it is, and how risky it is, right? So the tougher the attack, the more the cost to me as a business to mount the attack. The higher the risk, translates again into current or future costs. So I want to have mount attacks that are relatively easy, right, and low cost. On the other hand, axis, you want the payout to be as large as possible. The higher the payout potential, the more interesting it is for me to go after that particular type of information or that particular type of attack. So I want to have the easiest attack that gives me the highest payout. So ad frauds, we see ad frauds being very popular, or a type of attack that these organizations mount. There are also credential harvesting, right, to steal credentials, IDs that can be sold in the black market. There's credit cards that could be stolen. There's also extortion, that you could do, right? Think about crypto locker, where hackers get into your system, they encrypt all your data and your hard disk, and then they demand ransom, right, to release, the keys for you to get your data back. We also see medical records fraud.
Now, I just want to touch on trust. I know trust is vital in any business, and there's a lot of trust that is involved to get into a hacking team. Now, how do hackers build that trust to become a member of these hacking businesses?
Yeah, and you put your finger on a very, very important point here. If you think about hacking organizations, criminal hacking organizations, they have strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? You could do a typical SWOT analysis on them, and one of the biggest weaknesses is breakdown of trust, right? They're really paranoid about anonymity. They have to make sure that the moment they're exposed, first of all, not only are they at risk, but even if they are located in geographically in places where it may be difficult for law enforcement to get to them, even then, once they're exposed, they lose their reputation and the ability to transact in the underground marketplaces, right? Because other criminal organizations would not want to buy from or sell to them, right? So it actually completely defeats that capability to succeed. So trust is extremely important. And in the the marketplace where criminal hackers participate, it's mostly anonymous. They have online personas, called nicks, and these personas are really tied to reputations. Now, these reputations are tracked in these marketplaces for quality, for timeliness, a whole range of values, and you build a reputation using your anonymous persona, and that's how you transact business, right? And the moment your reputation drops, it becomes tougher to get people to do business with you. The goods that you have to sell become less valuable because it starts carrying inherent risk. So, Marcello, it's actually a pretty sophisticated system to track and monitor reputation and trust.
Okay, so we've discussed the business of hacking here today. What can be done to disrupt this business?
That's a great question. I mean, the whole point of the research that we are putting out here, Marcello, is to, help people understand, the nature of hacking. If you understand how criminal organizations act in the cybersecurity realm, then you understand their motivations, you understand how they're organized, then you have a better chance of keeping yourself safe. So the biggest sort of takeaway should be that this is a risk-reward equation for the organizations attacking you, and therefore for the organizations that are being attacked. So if I am a legitimate business and I want to keep myself safe, then I got to make sure that I increase the cost of attacks for the attackers. In fact, the number one vulnerability that attackers use is something that was discovered 5 years back, and the patch for this was released, more than 4 years back. Attackers go after the easy, low-hanging fruit because that makes their cost as low as possible. So if I want to defend myself, make sure I go after the low-hanging fruit in my organization. I do the basic, hygiene. I patch my servers, I patch my devices. I introduce two-factor authentication, and I monitor, my system, right? So if I monitor my system, and I know an attack is in progress, I can quickly shut access to an attack in progress that raises the cost of attack for the organizations. Number two, along with increasing the cost of attacking me, I need to make sure that if you do steal something from me, it becomes very difficult for you to sell, right? So if somebody, think about, the art world, right? If you want to buy stolen art and it's a well-known piece of art, the market for it starts getting really, really small because there's not a lot of people who would want to buy art that's well-known. They could never display outside, and therefore the cost or the price for that will come down, dramatically, right? And the same is true in this world as well. So if I can protect my data, if I can encrypt it in a way that's still useful for me to do my processing, for example, credit cards through payment processing, but I can make it useless if stolen, then the attackers will probably go elsewhere to find something that they can actually sell more easily. Right? So it's both the cost, driving up the cost of attacking me, and driving down the margins that I would get by selling what you take from me.
Chandra, can you share with our listeners where they can go to get some more information on this?
Absolutely. For the listeners, if you get to our HPE Security website, Google HPE Security, Business of Hacking, and you should be able to download a report. It's a pretty comprehensive report, around 20 pages, but goes through how attackers are organized, what their supply chain looks like, and has some, very tangible recommendations on how you can protect yourself in a world where cyber threats and hacking is criminalized.
Is there anything that we have missed here today that you would like to add, Chandra?
My parting guidance to listeners would be really start thinking about protecting data, right? And in most cases, it's data, it's information, it's money that's stored in bits and bytes that the attackers are going after, right? So the closer you can get your security controls to your data, the safer you will be by making it tougher for attackers to get the data and making it tougher for them to sell that data.
Thank you so much, Chandra, for joining us here today. We truly appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, Marcello.
We have heard today how hackers are becoming so sophisticated and organized in their trade. What is shocking to know is that their business looks a lot like companies in the corporate world. Any business leader will tell you that increasing profit while at the same time minimizing risk are the main objectives of running a successful business. And we see the same exact strategy being employed in the hacking business. Even though hacking organizations are tightly knit and loosely formed, they are not something to take lightly. Organized attacks on business will target the low-hanging fruit, as Chandra pointed out. So it further emphasizes the ultimate importance of network and cybersecurity. We harp on this topic time and time again for a reason, because too often organizations and executives take security too lightly until it's too late. I would like to say thanks again to Chandra Rangan, Vice President of Marketing for HPE Security Products, for being our guest on today's podcast. And thanks to our producer, Lasky Hart. If there's anything else you'd like us to address in this podcast, please let us know by making a comment below or leave us a review on iTunes. Thanks again for listening. From all of us here at WRLWND Radio, this is Marcello saying stay safe in the technology whirlwind.